And you know what it is? It's the soldiers largely. The cities have been emptied out and demolished. The country has been demolished.
Being a teenager is never easy. But for Barron William Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump and former First Lady Melania Trump, the challenges are uniquely magnified. Barron has long been considered the most private of Donald Trump's 5 children, deliberately shielded from public life during much of his father's presidency. But since turning 18, interest in him has grown significantly. The public's curiosity now ranges from where he might attend college to how he carries himself alongside his famous parents. And experts note that these subtle public appearances reveal much about how he is navigating his unusual position at the crossroads of family legacy, public expectation, and personal growth. Easter weekend and a shift in body language. During the Trump family's Easter celebrations at Mar-a-Lago in March, Barron Trump's interactions with his parents provided a subtle but revealing glimpse into his ongoing transformation from reserved teenager to confident young adult. Body language expert Judy James analyzed footage from the event and noted that Barron's movements, particularly the way he lengthened his stride to catch up with his mother, Melania, were telling. While Melania often walked slightly ahead, Barron closed the distance and chose to walk alongside her, suggesting both an eagerness to step forward and a comfort with sharing the public gaze. For years, Barron had seemed withdrawn during public appearances, often standing quietly at a distance or fading into the background as his father and siblings commanded attention. Yet on this occasion, his body language signaled a quiet but intentional transition. James explained that such gestures indicated not just confidence, but also an emerging sense of leadership and presence. It was as though Barron, now 18, was beginning to test his ability to stand in the spotlight, a shift that marked his gradual emergence from the shy adolescent phase into a young man ready to shape his own image and assert his individuality. Finding his own style. Next to his mother, observers have long noted that Barron appears most comfortable when he is with his mother, and Easter weekend reinforced that impression. With Melania, he walked more naturally, matching her pace and engaging more directly with those around him. This sense of ease reflects the deep bond the two share, a connection Melania has nurtured since his earliest years. Following the loss of her mother, who played a central role in Barron's childhood, Melania has drawn even closer to her son, spending much of her time at Mar-a-Lago alongside him and her father. Friends of the family emphasize that Melania's priority has always been to give Barron as normal a childhood as possible, even in the glare of global attention. She carefully guarded his privacy during his formative years, limiting his public appearances and focusing on education, structure, and stability. That careful balance of protection and independence has given Barron a foundation to grow confidently, even in extraordinary circumstances. His willingness to keep pace with Melania in public shows both respect for her presence and a newfound desire to establish his own. This maternal bond has clearly shaped him into a young man who blends confidence with reserve, a balance that reflects the influence of a mother determined to give her son both space and strength. Navigating his relationship with Donald Trump. If Barron's comfort with Melania is obvious, his interactions with his father sometimes tell a different story. Around Donald Trump, Barron occasionally appears more reserved or self-conscious, which is perhaps understandable given his father's commanding personality and global stature. Body language analysts have noted moments where Barron folds his arms, fidgets with his hands, or hangs back slightly when Donald is present, behaviors that can reflect both nervousness and the natural tension of growing up in the shadow of a powerful parent. During the Easter brunch, as Donald Trump playfully danced, Barron was seen stepping to the side, a gesture interpreted by many as the universal cringe of a teenager embarrassed by a parent's antics. These moments humanize Barron, reminding observers that despite the wealth, the security, and the extraordinary platform, he is still a young man navigating the complexities of adolescence. The contrast between his relaxed demeanor with Melania and his more awkward posture with Donald suggests that Barron is still learning how to balance admiration, pressure, and independence in his relationship with his father, a dynamic that will likely continue to shape his public identity in the years ahead. The Thanksgiving celebration with high-profile guests. Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago has always been more than a family holiday. It is a spectacle of politics, celebrity, and power converging under one roof. In 2023, the Trump family's celebration drew an eclectic mix of high-profile guests, including billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk and Hollywood legend Sylvester Stallone. For Barron Trump, then 17, the evening was both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary because the experience of feeling embarrassed by a parent is universal for teenagers. Extraordinary because his father is Donald Trump, and every moment is captured on camera. Video clips from the night showed Trump and Musk laughing together before breaking into an impromptu dance to YMCA, the anthem that has long accompanied Trump's rallies. As the crowd clapped and cheered, Barron remained seated at a nearby table. His expression was polite, but unmistakably tinged with the awkwardness any teenager feels when a parent suddenly becomes the center of attention in front of friends and strangers alike. Social media was quick to seize on the moment, with users speculating about Barron's feelings, but the reality was simpler than the commentary suggested. Barron's mild discomfort was not unusual. It was a perfectly relatable expression of youthful embarrassment magnified by cameras, bright lights, and the presence of global personalities. The sight of his father dancing alongside Elon Musk may have been humorous to guests, but for Barron, it was the kind of moment that highlights the tension between family pride and adolescent cringe. What makes his situation unique is that such moments, which most teenagers get to experience privately, unfold for him on a very public stage. Still, these glimpses of Barron, navigating ordinary teenage reactions in extraordinary circumstances, offer the public a rare, authentic window into his life. They reveal not detachment or aloofness, but a young man quietly managing the everyday complexities of adolescence against the backdrop of his father's larger-than-life persona, a strong bond with Melania. If Donald Trump's flamboyance sometimes leaves Barron standing at the edge of the spotlight, Melania Trump has been the steady center of his world. Insiders have long emphasized the closeness of their bond, particularly in the years following the passing of Melania's mother, who played a central role in Barron's early life. After that loss, Melania reportedly devoted even more of her time to her son, spending her days primarily at Mar-a-Lago with Barron and her father, Victor Naves. Friends describe her as a fiercely protective mother, whose top priority has always been giving Barron stability and structure. Unlike Donald Trump's older children, who were thrust into public life early, Barron was carefully shielded from constant exposure. Melania's approach was deliberate. She wanted her son to experience as normal a childhood as possible, even when the family was living in the White House. In her rare interviews, Melania has spoken with unmistakable pride about her son's development. She has described Barron as a grown young man who demonstrates maturity, resilience, and intelligence beyond his years. She often emphasizes his ability to think independently and his knack for offering thoughtful advice during his father's campaigns, particularly in understanding the values and habits of his generation. For Melania, Barron is both her greatest personal commitment and a living legacy she has carefully nurtured. She has raised him to balance privilege with responsibility, privacy with poise. Unlike the bombastic energy often associated with the Trump name, Barron's quiet strength reflects his mother's steady influence. Observers note that Melania will likely remain close to Barron no matter where his education or career takes him, ensuring that he always has an anchor of family and stability even as he carves out his own identity. Height, nicknames, and personality. At nearly 7 feet tall, Barron Trump is impossible to overlook, and his striking stature has become a defining feature of his public appearances. Whenever he steps onto a stage or into a crowded room, he towers not only over his parents, but also over his siblings, drawing immediate attention. The fascination with his height has sparked endless commentary, sometimes playful, sometimes exaggerated. Melania has even referred to him affectionately as Mini Donald, though Barron is said to find the nickname somewhat embarrassing. The label suggests comparison with his father, but in many ways, Barron is carving out a personality quite distinct from Donald Trump's larger-than-life style. Those who know him describe a young man who is observant and thoughtful, qualities that align more closely with his mother's temperament. While Donald thrives on commanding attention and dominating conversation, Barron is more measured, often preferring to watch and listen before speaking. His personality, though quieter, has a grounded quality that makes him approachable despite the aura of his last name. Friends and classmates have noted that his demeanor combines humility with an understated confidence, a balance that hints at maturity beyond his years. His presence is commanding, but not in an intimidating way. Rather, it reflects someone aware of the impression he makes, yet uninterested in exploiting it. Barron's identity is still forming, but already he is seen as someone who acknowledges his father's legacy while embodying traits uniquely his own. Early interests and education. From the beginning, Barron's upbringing has been shaped by both privilege and deliberate parental choices. Growing up in Trump Tower in Manhattan, he enjoyed a life of luxury, with an entire floor of the penthouse apartment reserved for him, complete with its own nursery, living space, and playrooms. Yet those close to him insist that his interests were never purely material. From an early age, Barron displayed curiosity and creativity, often building structures only to dismantle and rebuild them again. Melania once described this tendency as symbolic of his inventive spirit, a reflection of a mind eager to experiment, learn, and create. Language also played a central role in his development. Fluent in both English and Slovenian, Barron grew up switching easily between the two, strengthening his connection to his maternal grandparents, who lived near Trump Tower for much of his early childhood. This bilingual ability not only gave him a bridge to his heritage, but also reinforced the international dimension of his upbringing. Education was another cornerstone of his early years, and Melania was determined to ensure stability regardless of political developments. When Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016, Melania decided that Barron would remain in New York until the end of his school year rather than uprooting him immediately to Washington, D.C. For her, continuity was more important than optics. When Barron eventually moved to Washington in 2017, he became the first presidential child in decades not to attend Sidwell Friends School, the institution traditionally chosen by White House families. Instead, Melania enrolled him at St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland, praising its diversity, academic rigor, and community values. This decision once again highlighted her commitment to providing Barron with the best environment for growth, rather than simply following precedent. Those who have observed his education note that this focus on stability helped ground him during a time of immense upheaval, allowing him to maintain a sense of normalcy even while living in one of the most scrutinized residences in the world. Life in the White House Barron Trump holds a unique place in American history as the first presidential son to live in the White House since John F. Kennedy, Jr., a role that combined extraordinary privilege with immense pressure. After completing his school year in New York, following Donald Trump's 2016 election victory, Barron and his mother, Melania, moved into the iconic residence in 2017. His arrival in Washington marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where every move would be quietly observed by the public. Surrounded by Secret Service agents and immersed in the rhythms of political life, Barron was thrust into an environment unlike any faced by his peers. Yet, unlike many presidential children before him, he broke with tradition by attending St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Potomac, Maryland, instead of the elite Sidwell Friends School that had educated generations of White House families. Melania praised the school for its diversity and academic rigor, underscoring her determination to provide Barron with an education that emphasized values, stability, and community rather than social prestige. Within the walls of the White House, Barron experienced the rarefied life of a presidential child, but Melania worked diligently to shield him from overexposure, ensuring he could still enjoy a measure of privacy. She carefully limited his public appearances and minimized his media exposure, hoping to preserve his ability to grow and mature on his own terms. That balance, living at the very center of American politics while retaining a semblance of normal adolescence, shaped Barron into someone who learned early how to navigate the space between public expectation and private growth, a duality that continues to define his character. College and a step into independence. In 2024, Barron began his freshman year at New York University's Stern School of Business, marking an important milestone in his journey from presidential child to independent young adult. The choice of NYU was notable. While his siblings pursued education at Georgetown, Penn, or other traditional elite institutions, Barron opted for a different path, one that combined prestige with a degree of urban anonymity. Nestled in downtown Manhattan, NYU offered him the chance to be surrounded by peers in a dynamic global environment, while still maintaining proximity to his family's roots in New York. Yet, despite the school's vastness, Barron's experience could never be entirely ordinary. His Secret Service detail accompanies him across campus, drawing subtle attention even as he tries to blend in. Reports from classmates suggest that he has nevertheless managed to make a strong impression, admired for his height, confidence, and approachable personality. Professors and peers alike describe him as thoughtful and intelligent, someone who balances humility with the natural presence his background affords him. For Barron, college is not just about following in his father's business footsteps. It represents an opportunity to craft his own identity, distinct from his siblings and from Donald Trump himself. At Stern, he is laying the foundation for a future where he may merge the business instincts he inherited with a modern sensibility shaped by his own generation. This step into independence highlights Barron's determination to chart a path that honors his family legacy while still carving out space for his individuality. Helping his father connect with Gen Z, Barron's move into adulthood has coincided with his father's political resurgence, and behind the scenes, he has quietly begun to make his mark. During Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, insiders credit Barron with playing a surprising but impactful role in helping his father connect with Generation Z, a demographic often elusive for traditional politicians. Recognizing that young people no longer consume media primarily through television or newspapers, Barron reportedly encouraged his father to engage with platforms that resonate with his peers. It was Barron, campaign advisors say, who suggested appearances on widely followed podcasts such as Joe Rogan's, a move that attracted tens of millions of viewers and generated headlines across the political spectrum. Advisors praised his instincts, noting that every recommendation he made broke the internet, a testament to his intuitive grasp of his generation's cultural landscape. Unlike his older siblings, who have taken visible roles as campaign surrogates and advisors, Barron's influence has been quieter, rooted in an understanding of digital platforms, online communities, and the changing ways in which young people engage with politics. His involvement shows not only his ability to bridge generational divides, but also a growing comfort with the idea of shaping strategy. While he remains reluctant to step into the spotlight himself, Barron has shown he can play a behind-the-scenes role that complements his father's larger-than-life persona, signaling that his voice, though understated, carries weight within the Trump circle. Public appearances and first vote. The 2024 election was historic not only because it marked Donald Trump's return to the White House, but also because it represented a coming-of-age moment for Barron himself. At 18, he cast his first presidential ballot, a civic milestone that carried symbolic weight given his family's role in shaping national politics. Photographs of Barron at the polls drew attention not only for his extraordinary height — he now towers over his father and siblings at nearly 7 feet — but also for what they represented. A young man stepping into adulthood and engaging in the democratic process on his own terms. On election night in Florida, Barron appeared on stage with his family as Trump celebrated his victory. While his older siblings, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and Tiffany, played visible roles throughout the campaign, Barron stood quietly beside them, smiling and waving to the jubilant crowd. His understated presence contrasted with their high-profile involvement, but spoke volumes in its own way. It was a reminder that although he may not yet seek the spotlight, he cannot avoid it. The image of Barron towering above his siblings, smiling modestly while basking in the crowd's applause, captured the sense of a young man beginning to embrace both the privilege and the responsibility that comes with being part of the Trump legacy. His first vote and his public appearances in the wake of the election signaled that he is no longer just a figure in the background, but an adult navigating the complexities of his unique role in American life. Melania's pride in her son. If Donald Trump's campaign showcased Barron's emerging influence, Melania Trump's words offered a personal glimpse into her pride for her son's development. In one of her rare interviews, she spoke candidly about Barron's contributions during the campaign, praising his ability to understand his generation and to help his father connect with young voters through modern platforms. She described him as resilient and mature, qualities honed by years of growing up under intense scrutiny, and noted that while his college experience will never mirror that of ordinary students, he has learned to navigate the challenges with quiet strength. Melania emphasized that Barron is a grown young man, whose knowledge and insight extend beyond academics into politics, culture, and technology, areas where his perspective has already influenced decisions within the Trump family orbit. For her, Barron is both a beloved son and a source of pride, someone who has faced unusual pressures with grace. She credited him with offering thoughtful advice during the 2024 campaign, and highlighted how his unique connection to his generation brought in younger voters who might otherwise have remained disengaged. Melania's praise revealed both her protective instincts and her recognition that Barron is no longer a child to shield, but a young man capable of making meaningful contributions. Her words underscored the central role she has played in shaping his path, offering stability and guidance while preparing him for a life where public attention is inevitable. Looking ahead. As Barron Trump continues his studies at NYU and settles into life as a young adult, questions about his future loom large. Will he follow in his father's footsteps and pursue business or politics, or will he forge a path entirely his own? Those who know him describe him as thoughtful, ambitious, and keenly aware of the platform he occupies. He has shown both an instinct for strategy, as seen in his behind-the-scenes role during the campaign, and a preference for privacy, choosing to support rather than seek the limelight. This balance suggests he may continue to shape the future from the background, blending influence with independence. Yet, as the only child of Donald and Melania Trump, Barron's position is unique. He carries the weight of the Trump name, but unlike his siblings, he has the chance to define his identity in a new era, one shaped as much by digital media and global connectivity as by politics and business. Whether he embraces a public-facing role or opts for a quieter career, Barron's journey into adulthood reflects a blend of legacy and individuality. His life so far has been shaped by protective parents, exceptional opportunities, and intense public scrutiny. But as he grows older, Barron Trump seems increasingly ready to chart a course that reflects both his heritage and his personal vision for the future.